With the new season still fresh on the minds of all of those involved, we turn our eyes away from the wide-open runnings of the first round to the tight and twisty confines of Weedsport. It is going to be a very difficult track, as it always is, but it is going to separate the wheat from the chaff as we get going. Hello, everyone, and welcome to round 2 of the Bootleg Racing League's Dirt Street Stock Series. My name is DJ Clark, joined here in the production booth by Austin Belke with our director and producer, Mike Yao, behind the scenes. And Austin, I mentioned it there a little bit, but Weedsport, a pretty technical track as it goes, specifically turns 1 and 4, always willing to catch these dirt drivers out.
Yeah, that's right, DJ. This 3/8 mile oval, clay oval, is really tricky, especially going into turn 1. You can see some quick weather facts on your screen right there. 71 degrees Fahrenheit, 51% humidity, cloudy skies with 3-mile-an-hour winds. And this place is especially tricky because in turns 1 and turn 2, you really have to shoot the gap in the entrance of the turn. Then you slide up about halfway to it. That turn 2 wall comes up quick. And then as you try to exit turn 4, you want to try and straighten that line as much as you can, but there's usually a big old piece of concrete there that more often than not really likes to flip these cars over.
Yes, it does, and we've seen a couple of cars get flipped over by that over the course of our several seasons running here. Weedsport entering onto the service, I believe, about a year or so ago, and so that's always something to watch out for, and a little bit of a danger zone as they run. But let's go ahead and run you over to the championship standings as we are 1 round down here in this new season. To the surprise of nobody, it is Brandon Proudfoot back up onto the top of the charts here. Proudfoot looking to regain his crown after losing it last time out to William Hargraves. Johnny Ratley there, though, tied with Hargraves on points as you do score points over the course of the entire night here, not just in the feature race. Your reigning champion, William Hargraves, only about 4 points off of then. Billy Northcutt looking pretty good as well, with J.R. Shepard and Christopher Hill certainly within a shout there. Obviously, standings are a little bit tighter there, but good to see a good run from Ratley. Maybe he's going to be the new competitor this season to see what he can put down.
I think so, DJ. He was really strong all last week. I think it just came down to the initial start and then who got the better line, because we had a caution pretty much right after the initial green flag, so kind of jumbled up the order there. And of course, Brandon Pup was just really strong on the long runs and really good at finding the exact placement on the track. Where that fastest line is, you see a lot of drivers out there on track. Neville Alf, Jason Menda, these guys kind of just getting acquainted with this 3/8 of a mile clay oval. And DJ, we always mention how tricky this place is, and it's really hard to show the fans just how tricky. And Jason Menda did a great job right there showing just how close you need to get to the concrete barriers on the inside of turn number 4 in order to extract the most lap time you possibly can out of each and every car.
Yeah, you've really got to be threading that needle all the way around here. Neville Olf and Jason Menda both doing a good job to try to bring those cars around. We're about 14 minutes down into a 20-minute qualifying session right now as they run, drivers working their way around. Still waiting for a couple of big names to show up on the charts. I don't see Johnny Ratley here, and I don't see William Hargraves quite yet. Billy Northcutt is in the session, and Brandon Proudfoot as well. So good to see the 22. We expect him to head out onto track here in a few minutes. Well, this is a tricky track. This is a tough track to be able to run, but one of the big things that we always talk about here is just how difficult it is to get past, and I think, Austin, that's going to make qualifying of the utmost importance here.
Yeah, DJ, I mean, that's what these guys are all out there on track trying to do right now, is find the quickest one-lap pace they can. Like you mentioned, we got a 20-minute practice. We're about 3/4 of the way into it, and then we go into a 5-minute 4-lap qualifying session. And yeah, passing is a premium here. It's super hard to get past, and more often than not, it's really hard to pass someone even if you're too wide with them. More often than not, you have to rely on the driver to either side of you making a mistake and then hope to slide in behind him, because it's so easy to get caught out of line or just get wrapped up in someone else's mistake while everybody's going double file for the first couple laps here. And if you can't make a pass, sometimes you just kind of have to settle in, buckle down, and hope for another driver to make a mistake in front of you, or worst case, throw a slider. But sliders are really risky here.
Yeah, they're very risky, as there we see Proudfoot able to put a time down on the board. Joe Segala currently working his way around in 12th. Currently the driver at the top of your standings. Chris Davis right up there right now, as is J.R. Shepard. So good to see those two names being up there. Not normally ones we see at the top of the charts, and sometimes practice times can be a little bit deceiving, but I, for one, am excited to see both of those drivers there setting some quick times.
Yeah, you've got the always aggressive Chris Davis in the 7, and then the very much laid back and calculating, methodical driving J.R. Shepard just behind him in second on the timing sheet. So one driver that's out there right now as well, Kenny Kibbe, the man who used to join us in the booth pretty much every other week in the series since being replaced by John Hine. So cool to see him out here. And DJ, you mentioned practice time's not always super influential and kind of telling of race pace, and that's because when the drivers enter each and every single session, the track is at about 0% state. It's pretty much the grippiest, stickiest that it's going to be all night, and then as these drivers go out there and wear it in, they wear out the track more. It starts to slick up and get slower overall.
Yes, it does. It's John Wilson there on the fistful of water, number 75, working his way around, just trying to feel out that track to the best of his abilities as they go. And yeah, I have to agree with you. It's great to see Kenny Kibbe back out on the track here. Kenny, always a little bit of a favorite of mine, I have to tell you. When I first started doing commentary for this series, that very distinctive paint job of Kenny's made him a little bit of a favorite of mine. So it's kind of fun to see him back out on the track. And obviously, we don't like to play favorites here on the booth, but always having a commentator out on track makes things a little bit more exciting.
Yeah, that's right. Even if it's a kind of older commentator. I mean, I know obviously it's always been Kenny, you, myself, and then JR kind of comes in every now and again, but John Hine mostly took over for Kenny. So we do like to root for Kenny and John each and every time they get out there. And yeah, the paint schemes Kenny's got are always super awesome looking, whether it's the black with the orange and the blue. For a while, it was the bright orange car with some blue, black, white stripes on there. I believe that was either Brandon Uhouse designer or Matt Shinowski. Matt's one of the drivers that's kind of slowly but surely getting faster and faster in this series. As you see Jason Menda on track. Jason's still out there trying to find the best line for his qualifying.
Yes, he is, and I think what's really crucial now as they run is that now that the track is worn in a little bit, drivers are figuring out where this is going to be over the course of the race, and once we get into the B main and into the A main itself. Now remember that we will reset the track, we'll send out those virtual water trucks for qualifying, but that's the last time we're going to see those water trucks, and especially at a track like this, that means that the line can get very, very rubbered in, and we can see a lot of that tackiness that you talked about go away. So it's very crucial to know what this track is going to act like when things get slippery.
Yeah, you can see a couple of drivers trying out some different lines. If you look at J.R. Shepard and Kenny Kibbe, they were racing each other the last couple laps. J.R. was at the bottom of the track and Kenny was closer to the top. You can see there's two pretty distinct lines going on right now. In turn 1 and 2, it's pretty much the same. Everybody goes in by the inside wall, and then in turn 3 and 4, there's a high line and a low line, as you see Chris Davis and Joe Segala illustrating that exact same point. As we have about a minute left in practice.
Only about a minute left in practice, and giving me some hope there, seeing those two running side by side like that. Weedsport, one of the trickier places to get a pass done, but we have seen it with some severe aggression coming out of the drivers. If you really want to get that pass done, you've got to kind of muscle your way up forward and really try to get it in and done. As Chris Davis, I thought that was out of control. That is one of the most impressive slides in a pit lane I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's an aggressive pit entrance, that's for sure. Of course, he was nicknamed the always aggressive Chris Davis for a reason, and it's pulling off moves like that. And yeah, DJ, if you want to pass somebody here, it's really easy to get to the inside of someone down the backstretch. If you're right on their rear bumpers, you go into turns number 1 and 2, and then you kind of just arc it down the middle of the backstretch harder than they do it. You can more often not try to get to somebody's inside, but you have to be so close. And when you're that close, if there's a mistake by either you or the guy you're chasing, you guys are probably both going around.
Yeah, indeed, and we're going to have to keep an eye out there for that, especially at the end of last season. We saw a lot of clean and green running, but Weedsport tends to be a little bit of a track that has a history of running some yellows here. And yellows, obviously, as they run, will be double file restart up until the last 10 laps of the race, and so that always throws a little bit of a question up into the air and as they run. Waiting now for drivers to head out on track for qualifying. Like you said, Austin, 4 laps. We tend to see the first laps being the best ones, but there are plenty of different strategies that seem to get played out here over the course of qualifying.
That's right, DJ. More often than not, the drivers are going to go out there, and usually a lot of guys choose to throw it all to the wall and see what sticks and just see what kind of lap time they can put down, and then they'll try to be more conservative. You see John Wilson out there with a purple rectangle underneath his name in the Sector 1 column. Neville Alf takes that. You folks at home, if you're not familiar with those two rectangles, DJ and I can tell you, the green one means personal best sector time. The purple one means best overall sector time. So if you see somebody with the purple, that's the fastest anyone has gone through that sector, and if it's just a green, that means they're putting down their personal best. If it's anything other than those two, it's a lot slower than has normally been.
Yes, it is, and we have some time started to come down on the board there. The man you're watching, the number 7 of Chris Davis, is going to set down the early benchmark of a 17.776. John Wilson, Neville Ulf, and Kevin Nunn lining up behind him, still waiting for some more times to get set down here. I see Jason Menda out on track. You saw Chris Davis come back into pit lane. That is a strategy that we've seen played out plenty of times. Looks like John Wilson's able to bump his way up into the top 3, and Neville Ulf is going to go up to the top of the pops right now. He is going to best Chris Davis. There's Menda coming onto the board in P3.
Yeah, DJ, you mentioned a lot of different drivers having differing qualifying styles. Some drivers choose to go out there almost immediately, like you saw Wilson, Alf, Chris Davis do. They run out all their laps, and some drivers, like we saw Chris Davis do as well, like to run a lap or two and then pull down pit road to kind of see where they are right now. Maybe watch the broadcast, see where some of these other faster guys are qualifying. You saw Neville Alf go out there. Maybe Chris is going to take a minute to go see where Neville ran and go see if he can't put down a faster lap. That's something we often see the Panda Racing guys do, like Hargraves and Johnny Ratley, and Brandon Proudfoot, J.R. Shepard. Those are two guys they're going to wait until practically the last second before they can get all 4 of their laps in, and then they're going to go out here and tear down the thing.
Yeah, that is the strategy that we see out of those drivers quite a bit as they run, keeping focus here on Jason Menda as he tries to improve from his 5th place position. Here comes Bobby Hayes, though, in the number 13 Fistful of Water machine, bringing that car around through turns 3 and 4. This is going to be his first flying lap as Bobby runs, setting personal best times there. Chris Hill's going to bump his way up into P3, waiting to see there what that's going to be for Bobby Hayes. That's going to be good enough for 6th place.
Yeah, Kenny Kibbe went out there. His first lap puts him 9th on the timing sheets. J.R. Shepard finally making his way out of the pits. Right now you're looking at the driver of the 14 car, Kenny Kibbe.
Yeah, Kenny bringing that car around there, down in 6th place right now. Little bump to the outside wall there, and that's going to discount his lap. Now, for anybody who's not familiar with the way that iRacing works, if you make that contact with the outside wall, that's going to give you a 0x, a 0 incident, but that's going to discount your qualifying lap as they run. We've got to keep our eyes focused here on the 22, the dethroned champ, but the multi-time champion out here, the number 22 of Brandon Proudfoot, setting a purple time through the first sector, comes across the line there. What's that going to get him? Only good enough for P3 for the Fistful of Bourbon driver.
Yeah, P3 is all that he's going to get. J.R. Shepard now out on track. J.R. currently in 11th place. J.R.'s one of those drivers that likes to go out there, throw down a couple banker laps, and then throw down some banger laps. J.R. usually isn't the fastest here. It takes him a little while to kind of get that comfortability in the car, so he's more confident where he's putting that thing. You can see second lap there going to throw himself all the way up into the 4th position. You can see some other drivers still out there. Kenny Kibbe currently riding 8th. Chris Davis has decided to make his way back out onto the track.
Yeah, Davis only 14 thousandths of a second off of your provisional pole seater Neville Ulf here, so plenty of time still left to go as they run about 45 seconds and only about a 17-second lap around here, so some of these drivers still have some time to be able to put some good times down. Watching here, waiting to see if anybody's going to be able to set some good ones as they run. Not seeing any improvement there for JR.
Well, Proudfoot with a purple sector.
Yes, indeed. That's
he goes
Proudfoot. Pole. Oh, great lap there for the 22 of Brandon Proudfoot. Absolutely remarkable stuff. 89 thousandths of a second away. That's going to pull him ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, that was an astonishing lap. I mean, he just went out there and practically schooled these guys. You see Hunter Hill out there trying to get down a lap. Oh, that was close, DJ.
Yeah, you can't get much closer to the outside wall. Put a piece of paper in between the two of them as they run. Kenny Kibbe there out on track, but that is going to be him removed from the track because qualifying is over and we are ready to get racing here for the first heat race of the night. Lining up in pole position, it will be Brandon Proudfoot, Chris Davis to his outside with Chris Hill and Jeffrey Harden behind them. Bobby Hayes will line up in P5, followed by John Wilson, Joe Segala, and Robbie Robinson going to round out your 8-car field for the first heat race.
Well, if qualifying is any indication here, DJ, I really do expect for Brandon to choose the inside line on the restart, and I assume he's just going to pull away from the field. I think it's going to be really hotly contested between Chris Davis and then Christopher Hill, especially because if Christopher Hill has the inside, more often than not, he can try to get a better launch off the initial start than Chris Davis, who starts on the high side. Kind of a little bit more difficult to get the RPMs in that car immediately off the launch.
Yes, it is. And you mentioned a very good point there, which is the leader does get lane choice here for the front row. So they have the option to start on the inside and the outside. And we've seen many, many times some differing strategies play themselves out for drivers as they try to figure out which way they want to take it. But as of right now, your prediction proving true there, Austin. Proudfoot holding down to the inside line. And I got to think, as you said, that's the preferred line for the rest of this race.
Yeah, definitely. For you folks at home that aren't too familiar with dirt racing, this is typical dirt track racing. We're going to have heats, 6-lap heats. The first 2 cars in each of the 2 heats automatically advance to our 40-lap feature. Everyone else then has to go on to the 2 consolation races, which set the starting order for the field. The first 2 drivers, obviously, that finish in this race are going to start first and third in the feature event. But DJ, the lights are out atop the iRacing pace truck.
Yes, they are, and that can only mean one thing. We are getting ready to go green flag racing here at Weedsport Speedway. That iRacing pace truck scampers its way off in pit lane and gives control of the field over to Brandon Proudfoot, and he's going to get on the loud pedal early. Look at him start to pull away. They couldn't get a better start if you are the number 22. That's Harden in 4th, trying to make a little move around the outside, but Bobby Hayes is going to take advantage of him, diving down to the inside. They'll be side by side down the backstretch.
Yeah, Proudfoot timed that start out perfectly. Whoa, they're spinning in the background. That's Chris Hill, that spins into the infield after contact with Bobby Hayes. I believe that's probably going to be more, yeah, that's definitely the end of their competitive heat race for now.
Yes, it is, but they're going to get back out on track, try to fight things out, because their order will determine their starting order in the consolation races. So not all is lost there for them, still a little bit to fight for. Meanwhile, up front, Chris Davis trying to hunt down Brandon Proudfoot, but Brandon Proudfoot hearing nothing of it, setting purple laps, lap after lap.
Yeah, purple lap, just the same as in qualifying. It's the fastest lap of any driver in this session. You can keep seeing those on the left-hand side of your screen. That timing and scoring, yeah, that's another fastest lap by Proudfoot. He's just pulling away.
Yeah, he is. Brandon Proudfoot doing Brandon Proudfoot things as they go. Working their way around right now, trying to see what it is. We focus back on John Wilson, who's trying to put a little bit of battle here on Jeffrey Harden for the final podium position in this first heat race.
Yeah, Wilson is throwing everything he can at the wall to see what sticks, but he's not really making too much of an inroads there into the rear end of Jeffrey Harden in that number 36 machine. Well, we're about almost sideways, side by side for the lead, Chris Davis really charging it into these corners to see what he can do to Brandon Proudfoot. White flag, though, 1 lap to go.
White flag in the air, as you said, and yeah, Chris Davis not letting up any ounce of quit in him as we dive down through the final 2 corners for the last time. And there, the checkered flag waves. It is Brandon Proudfoot taking victory in P1, followed home by Chris Davis, who will automatically advance into the feature race. Jeffrey Harden, John Wilson, Joe Segala, Chris Hill, and Bobby Hayes will be able to get everything back together, and they will go on to the B main and the C main. But Austin, that's going to lead us right into heat race number 2. The action never stops here, as it's going to be Neville Ulf, the Australian-New Zealand driver, lining up in pole position. J.R. Shepard flanking him in the front row. Billy Northcutt and our own Kenny Kibbe will be starting off in 4th position, followed by Jason Menda and Hunter Hill, with Kevin Nunn and Ryan Seneca rounding out the rest of the field.
DJ, you explained it perfectly. There's no rest for the wicked. The action and excitement never stops. We're going to see here what lane Neville Ulf chooses to start the race in. I'm going to assume he's going to choose to start on the inside. And one thing I really liked out of Chris Davis there, he was doing a great job entering the corner a lot faster than Brandon Proudfoot was. He was really kind of just throwing that thing in there on the bottom, was able to get the car slowed down. But crucially, on corner exit, he wasn't losing as much time to Brandon Proudfoot compared to what he gained by just throwing the car into turns 3 and 4 on the bottom.
And that is something to keep our eyes out for as this race develops, as this night goes along, is keeping an eye on those drivers who are feeling out those lanes. I like that sort of reconnaissance there from Chris Davis as they run. Looking underneath the flag stand there as the cars roar their way, rumble their way, I think is the better adjective there, across the line, trying to get going there. Neville Wolf going to be leading this field to green, and just as you predicted, Austin, he's picking on the low side.
Yeah, if I'm J.R. Shepard right now, I don't want to throttle up in the middle of the corner. I want to make sure I'm right by his door so I can not only see him, but I can hear him on the left-hand side of my car to know exactly when he throttles up. iRacing Pace Truck on pit road.
On pit road, we're ready for the green from Barney the Flagman, and there we go. We are racing again, and that is a good start from Ulf, but an even better start from J.R. Shepard, who's going to try to threaten around the outside. Gets up into the gray a little bit. He's got to watch out, lose a little bit of position there to Billy Northcutt potentially. That's Northcutt threatening down to the inside, maybe even having a look on Neville Wolf as they go down through 3 and 4.
Yeah, that was a great start for J.R. Shepard. I don't know what Neville Wolf did on that initial start there. I don't know if he got to the throttle and then had to check back up for something else, but you can see them. It's an absolute hornet nest here for P2 on back. These guys are double file.
Yes, they are. They are 2x2 Noah's Ark style going down into the corner. Fastest lap of the race being set by Neville Wolf last time out, but a fierce battle as it continues to run. That is Northcutt, Shepard, Kibbe, and Menda. Everybody absolutely throwing it in as hard as they can go back for these back positions. I don't think Northcutt and Shepard have lost each other out of the side of their mirrors this entire race.
No, they haven't. J.R. Shepard with an excellent run there coming off the corner is able to clear Billy Northcutt up into second. Jason Menda almost cleans out Kenny Kibbe as he tries to get himself single file back in behind Billy Northcutt.
And as you said, finally single file here as they run. Billy Northcutt bobbing and weaving this way and that, trying to figure out if he can get a line over the Different Path Motorsports driver, looking to see what they can do. Kenny Kibbe in 4th place, exactly where they started, and actually this entire field exactly where they started. And as soon as I say that, Kevin Nunn able to get a move by Hunter Hill in the back. Bit of a send there for Billy Northcutt. I think he's looking pretty aggressive as the white flag flies.
Yeah, looking pretty aggressive to try and get that last spot. And if he gets that spot, it guarantees him a 4th starting spot for the feature race. Otherwise, he's going to have to race his way in and have that start, kind of dictated by where he finishes in the consolation race.
Yes, he is, but the checkered flag is in the air. Neville Wolf will take victory over J.R. Shepard, Billy Northcutt, and Kenny Kibbe, rounding out your top 4 with Menda, Hill, Nunn, and Seneker all having to go back to the consolation races. But my goodness gracious, some good stuff there as we saw, and the action just keeps on coming. We're ready for the C-Main here tonight. It's going to be Jeffrey Harden lining up in pole position for this consolation race with John Wilson to his outside, Joe Segala and Robbie Robinson behind them, Chris Hill and Bobby Hayes rounding out your 6-car field.
We're going to have to see where Jeffrey Harden starts this race. I feel like he's going to want to stay on that inside. The inside's been very good to all the leaders on all these different starts, so I don't expect him to go anywhere else. But this night has been absolutely action-packed. This is the raciest I've seen Weedsport in a good couple seasons, DJ.
It is very, very racy as they run. And I've got to say, some of the best action we've seen from Weedsport, this tends to be a little bit of one of those circuits that you come to on the calendar, and you expect it to be a little bit of follow the leader. Let's not go so far as to call it a Monaco necessarily, but definitely overtaking a little bit more difficult. And we're seeing some drivers getting their elbows out and being willing to race the entire way around.
Yeah, definitely not. I wouldn't say it's much of a Monaco Grand Prix style. I'd say maybe it's more of a different street course, maybe a Belle Isle or a St. Pete. You can get passes done, but it's really hard. You have to rely on another driver making a mistake in front of you to kind of gift you that position. But you do need to be on the wheel each and every lap, because a single mistake, you're going to go into the outside or the inside wall. I can't tell you how many times this race alone we've seen a driver ever so just barely avoid contact with either the inside or the outside wall.
Yeah, exactly. I think both of those are fantastic analogies to put in there. Definitely a bit of a street race as they run, and we're going to have a little bit of a street fight, I think, here in this C-Main consolation race with Jeffrey Harden, as you predicted, lining up to the inside, bringing the cars out of turn 4 right now, ready to take the green flag from Barney the Flagman, and he gets on the loud pedal, but there's going to be a challenge there to the outside. The Canadian of John Wilson and the number 75 Fistful of Water Machine trying to bring bringing the heat around there. They're on the outside. And Joe Segala with a good run down to the inside now, going to be challenging the number 75.
Yeah, it looked like Harden had a really difficult time putting the power down coming out of the inside of turn number 4. That'll be something to watch out for if you're Brandon Proudfoot for this initial race start. Maybe you want to choose the outside. Joe Segala, though, putting up a fantastic fight with John Wilson for that P2 position.
Yeah, he really is, and we talked a little bit about Segala at the end of last season, putting in some pretty spectacular runs, really looking good in that number 81 machine, and he is carrying on that promise here in this season as he now tries to chase down Jeffrey Harden.
How about Christopher Hill, though, in that number 5 machine? He started 5th. He's already made up 2 positions. He's getting closer and closer to Joe Segala every single corner they make. He's being really aggressive right now. I feel like he's feeling the pressure for that accident he was in his heat race.
I think he is as well. Ooh, runs a little bit wide there, almost kisses the outside wall, and that's going to give some ideas here to John Wilson and the number 75 as he tries to move his way forward. We cross over the line, though, to start working on lap 5, halfway done here in the C-Main.
Yeah, obviously aggression can pay off like we saw Chris Davis do in his heat, but if you overdrive the car, if you're too aggressive like we saw Christopher Hill being, that's going to open up the door for John Wilson to kind of put some moves on you if you're not careful. John's one of those guys, he's not very aggressive, he's a very calculating driver, really only makes the high percentage moves, and he's been getting faster and faster every single season. You see him now challenging the inside of Christopher Hill as they go down the backstretch, entering turn number 3 and 4. They're about dead even.
Who says you can't get a pass done here at Weedsport? John Wilson says I can get a pass done here at Weedsport. Good move, and that's going to move the number 75 up into P3 as they run. We've only got 2 laps to go here. Call it a lap and a half now as Harden is already entering into turn 3 as we speak. White flag in the air.
Yeah, John Wilson's continuing to catch up to Joe Segala. He's going to run out of time because Jeffrey Harden rounds through turns 1 and 2 down the back straightaway. Clear cut 1.3 second lead.
1.3 second lead. It looks pretty solid here. Wilson going to have a little bit of a look down to the inside of Segala, but it's all going to come to naught as the checkered flag flies for Jeffrey Harden. He will take victory in the C-Main. Joe Segala, John Wilson, Chris Hill, and Bobby Hayes will round out your finishing order here. Robbie Robinson did not start, but some good racing out on track there.
Yeah, that move by John Wilson was absolutely textbook. But DJ, we have the starting order for the second consolation race.
We do indeed as we head into the B-Main right now, and it's going to be Billy Northcutt lining up in pole position, Kenny Kibbe to his outside, Jason Menda and Hunter Hill behind them. Kevin Nunn and Ryan Seneca will make out the rest of your 6-car field for this 8-lap consolation race.
DJ, anymore, I'm not too confident in the outside line being the preferred one for the driver to restart. I think Billy Northcutt's going to stay down there, but he's going to have to be extremely careful to not over-rotate those rear tires and give the advantage to Kenny Kibbe. That time by, we saw the outside pole driver, even going back to that second heat race, we saw the high line get a pretty good start there because that driver, I think there's a little bit more grip up there, so if they time it well, the guy on the inside, the leader, spins his tires too much, they might just be clear going down into turns number 1 and 2.
They might just be clear indeed. We will have to see how that plays itself out here in this B-Main. And remember, all of the drivers that automatically transferred into the A-Main, they're watching these races. They're taking notes as they go. As this track continues to evolve, everybody's got something to learn.
Yeah, the track continues to evolve, and sometimes it evolves differently compared to previous seasons as we see the iRacing pace truck scampering away, giving command of the field over to Billy Northcutt, DJ.
Giving control of the field over to Billy Northcutt. Northcutt's going to slow the field down here a little bit as they come through 3 and 4, really making sure that they are fully stacked up before he is going to stomp that right foot down on the loud pedal and get a very good getaway. Immediately moves out to the outside lane there, blocking off any attack from Kenny Kibbe. Jason Menda sees all that happening in front of him and says, "Thank you, I'd like a little bit of that, please," as he tries to move his way past the number 14.
Yeah, Northcutt did his job there to make sure he had the lead kind of uncontested off the initial start, but I really dislike what he did to slow the field down, kind of half the caution car speed there. Usually they go around here about 35, 45 miles an hour. He slowed him down to the mid-20s during that route through turns 3 and 4. You see Kenny Kibbe, Jason Menda battling for that P2 position.
Yes, they are. And Hunter Hill in that rainbow liveried car looking on very, very happily, as now that's going to be Kenny Kibbe down to the inside there. Menda forced up wide a little bit, maybe too wide. And there, almost contact there between second and third place as they came onto the backstretch.
Yeah, Kenny throwing the crossover there on Jason Menda. Jason pinching him down. The two make contact on the front straightaway. That forces them to be dead even as they head down into turns number 1 and 2. Jason Menda slides up the track, makes contact with the outside wall. He might have a damaged race car. We're going to have to keep our eyes on his machine.
Yes, we will. And just missing that cushion there a little bit as he tried to run it out through 2 and 3. But no quit here in the number 45 as he continues to try to fight back on Kenny Kibbe. Now looking down to the inside. It's going to give Kibbe up to the high line. He catches that cushion a little bit better. And they're in a straight drag race here with half of the race done here in the B main.
Yeah, Kenny Kibbe choosing the outside a lot higher than Jason Menda was going for the most part. It seems like he's going to lose out on that position. Menda now clear up into P2. Kenny Kibbe still on the high side. He's going to have to be really careful to make sure he gets a good run off the corner. Make sure that Hill doesn't get to his inside. He doesn't.
Yes, he's going to be able to hold on to that position for now, and dust continuing to be kicked up here around the track. One of the great things that iRacing has added to this service is the increased dust around here. And if you're
Menda made contact with the inside wall.
He did indeed. We talked about that may happen, and that is going to grant second place position over to Kenny Kibbe. But does Hunter Hill have anything to say about it here with the white flag in the air?
Hunter's going to do his best, but he's running out of time. Kenny just continues to pull away from him, and not just that, he's got Jason Menda behind him to worry about.
Yes, he does. Those three start to separate themselves out, but I've got to tell you something up front. It is no concern at all to Billy Northcutt, who comes across the line to take victory here in the B main. Kenny Kibbe and Hunter Hill able to come home behind them. Jason Menda, the loser out of all of that, making contact with that outside wall. Ryan Seneker and Kevin Nunn rounding out your finishing drivers.
That was a fantastic race there for the second position. Those guys just kept on swapping slide jobs, the over-unders, the crossovers. That was some incredible stuff. But DJ, it's time for our 5-minute warm-up, and on right away you see the first 4 drivers on the field, especially the first 3. You got Proudfoot, Davis, J.R. Shepard going out on the track. These drivers are anxious to see what it feels like.
Yeah, they're very anxious indeed. And remember, for these drivers that didn't get the chance to run in the consolation races, this is the first time they're seeing the track since they were out on there, and it has changed. That groove has moved up. We already saw some of the problems there from Jason Menda and from Kenny Kibbe missing that cushion as they tried to throw the slider. And that's one of the important things you've got to figure out is where that cushion is, where you can push up against it, and where you may have a little bit too much momentum and you may just fly right over the top of it.
Well, DJ, it's not just that. The cushion continues to move, and even in the race, it's going to move further. So it's great to see what the cushion is like now. You know what it was like before. This is you just trying to do the math to see what it's like to make sure if you can try to know how much cushion is going to be there during the race. Maybe you do some linear interpolation, we'll call it, to try and see if you can predict how much cushion is going to be there. Sometimes it gets built up. Sometimes these guys kind of grind that thing down over the course of a run.
They do, and we've got a driver here in the booth with us that'll be able to tell us exactly how that track is feeling. J.R. Shepard. J.R., how is the track and how you feeling about those heat races?
Yeah, the track's starting to slick up quite a bit. The top is still got a lot of moisture in it, and if you hit it wrong and go over that cushion just a little bit, the thing's going to push up into the wall, especially through the center of turns 1 and 2. But yeah, the track's starting to slicken up, so that's going to give everybody a lot of options, and should be a lot of fun racing for everybody to watch.
JR, on the initial start, we saw you get a pretty good run there on the outside. It looked like the guy starting to your inside kind of spun his tires. Is it kind of slicking and up down there on the inside? Do you think the leader might try to take the outside here on the initial start?
Yeah, it's definitely a big possibility. The exit of turn 4 is always really slick down on the bottom side, so yeah, the leader could take the outside for sure and get a good run going into turn 1, but yeah, it's going to be exciting for sure. If you miss the line going into turn 1 when you're on the outside, it's not good for you. So we have to pay attention here.
Well, thank you so much for your time, JR. I'm always going to pull for you, my Different Path Motorsports teammate. Best luck in the race, buddy.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Have fun up there.
Will indeed, and thank you again to J.R. Shepard, the driver out there on track, who we love to be able to talk to as things run. And we're also joined here in the booth by one of our fellow commentators as well, Kenny Kibbe. Some fun running there for you in the past couple of races, but how's the car feeling? How's the track feeling?
Yeah, it's not too bad. I've been really having to get used to it. It's been a while since I've driven on dirt, but not too bad. This will be one of the rare occasions, I think, where I'll probably get better as the track wears out. Normally I'm better when the track's fresh and tacky, but at Weedsport, for whatever reason, I seem to kind of be able to drive this track like a pavement track, so I expect to get better as the race goes on, hopefully.
Kenny, we saw you pulling some crossovers there with Jason. Is it kind of just one of those deals that whoever gets their line to work out the best, or is one of the lanes better off, you think, than the others currently?
Well, the bottom's better, but the thing is, when you run the bottom, you're really pinched off on the corner exit, so when I was defending up top like that, I knew that Jason wasn't going to have a very good run off the corner, so if I can just let him have the spot and then cut back underneath him and have a run into the next corner, then if I have space to do it, that's going to be one move I'll try to do. The hard thing is, though, in the feature, it's going to be tough to have that kind of space to work with, but we'll see.
Sounds good, buddy. Best luck in the race.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Right back at you, Kenny Kibbe. That is the driver of the number 14, Kenny Kibbe, for the Nocturnal Gaming Machine, as he works his way around. Some interesting insight there from the drivers, Austin. It sounds like that there's a lot of unknowns on this track.
Yeah, Kenny and JR, two of the drivers I like to pick the brains of most, and you can really tell just how much these guys are dialed into the track. JR especially, he knows he has to go out there and see exactly what the track is like because he hasn't been out here for a while, and if he wants to keep that fourth starting position, he's going to need to do everything he can to learn the track, kind of absorb all this information in like a sponge, and then just kind of display that master class of a track to the viewers and us here up in the booth.
Yes, indeed he will. So we're going to have to see if that masterclass does shine through as checkered flag waves in the air for the warm-up. We are ready and rearing to go racing here for a 40-lap event at Weedsport Speedway. Lining up in pole position, it is going to be Brandon Proudfoot, and flanking him will be Neville Alt, with Chris Davis and J.R. Shepard making up the row behind them. Jeffrey Harden in the number 36 and Billy Northcutt will make up row 3, with Joe Segala and our own Kenny Kibbe rounding out your top 8, Austin.
John Wilson rolls off in 9th, followed by Hunter Hill, who rounds out the top 10. Christopher Hill starts in the 11th position, followed by Jason Menda, who starts in 12th. Bobby Hayes starts in 13th. Ryan Seneker starts 14th. And rounding out the last row is Robbie Robinson and Kevin Nunn, who starts shotgun on the field.
All right, 16 drivers, 40 laps out here. Austin, you know what time it is. It's time for us to get into the prediction business. Who do you have your eye on?
I got to take Proudfoot. He's been dominant all night. I don't think that dominance is going to stop. We saw him putting down those purple lap times, and I think he's just going to pull away from the field.
All right, well, I personally have my eyes on the number 98, Mr. J.R. Shepard. We've been waiting a long time for him to break the duck of his first win. I think this may be the chance out here today. Weedsport is really a dirt track on the iRacing service that drives like no other, and I think that may play into the hands of that blue and green machine.
DJ, I certainly hope you're right. It'd be awesome for JR to get his first win. My Different Path Motorsports teammate. He's one of the best here on the service, and he's so helpful. One of the nicest guys you'll ever have the opportunity to race around. So we'll see what his luck is like here. I'm also going to keep my eye on John Wilson at number 75 machine. He seems to get faster and faster as these tracks start to wear out.
Yes, he does. But right now, all eyes are going to be focused on Brandon Proudfoot, up into the lead of the field as the iRacing pace truck scampers off into pit lane. Proudfoot brings the field to green, waiting for the green, and there it goes. We are racing in Weedsport. It is a great getaway there for Brandon Proudfoot. A little bit of contact there from behind. I believe that is going to be Billy Northcutt getting a little bit sideways. That's the 30 and Harden, and we already have a yellow flag out onto the track as that is John Wilson spun around.
Yeah, this whole thing started when Chris Davis and Neville Alf went down into turns number 1 and 2. They kind of got a little bit sideways, kind of net-coated themselves together. J.R. Shepard was trying to follow Chris Davis through on the inside, and unfortunately, I think he got net-coated there with Neville Alf and was forced to, between he and the inside wall. So those two drivers lost a handful of positions here. Very unfortunate start for them, and then you saw that accordion kind of through the field, and John Wilson was just in the worst possible spot. There were cars stopped ahead, cars stopped behind, and I think he just kind of lit up the rear tires and kind of assisted by the car behind him. I didn't quite catch who that was, but nothing you can really do in that situation unless you're Neville Off. You kind of got to give a little bit more room to the guy on the inside, but of course if you're Neville, you want to pinch that guy off as much as you can and try to limit his run up off the corner.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that give and take that we talk about over the course of the race. And I believe that car that got into the back there of the 75 was the 13 of Bobby Hayes. Well, we're going to re-rack and restack here at Weedsport. Double file restarts, as we said, and caution laps do not count, so do not worry, viewers. You are still in for a full 40 laps of green flag action around this fantastic little speedway. As everything gets itself back together, the running order right now is going to be Proudfoot, Alf, Davis, Shepard, and Harden, your top 5.
Yeah, very fortunate for both Alf and Shepard to remain in control of both those positions. Hopefully they don't have very much damage. I'm looking here at the left front, right rear of JR's car. He's got a considerable amount of damage, but luckily these cars don't rely too much on the fenders, and they're shaped for the aero downforce. Not too much downforce to be had with these sort of cars. The lights are out atop the iRacing pace truck, so we're going to have a redo for this initial start here. Proudfoot still electing to take the inside. Got a really good start last time by. We're going to see what he can do this time.
Let's see if Neville Wolf has any answers for him there in the number 30, but the 22 gets on the loud pedal nice and early, bringing that car out of the turn, and it looks like there that is going to be Chris Davis able to catch Neville Wolf napping a little bit. Little bit of argy-bargy there in the back of the field as they run, try to sort themselves out, but we're out of turn 2 nice and clean.
Yeah, Davis did a really good job there, kind of entered the corner a little bit different than Ulf was expecting. Ulf almost got into the back of him. That kind of checked up the entire high side. J.R. Shepard losing out of position there to Jeffrey Hard. Now Joe Segala tries to challenge the inside of J.R. Not quite able to make it work. We're almost 3 wide. You see Northcutt, then Segala in the middle. Kenny Kibbe down on the inside.
Drivers have to be very, very careful when you're in that multi-wide situation. Things can get very, very tight here and in any dirt track.
Whoa, Segala takes out Shepard. They're wrecking behind.
Big kerfluffle in the back of the field. That is Menda out. I see Wilson. I see Robbie Robinson. I see the 19. And this just looked like, you saw it live, Austin, but it just looked like a little bit of contact that spent the field around.
Yeah, you're going to see it right here. Segala charges into the corner, barely taps J.R. Shepard around, tries to back out of the throttle so he can correct it, but there's just too many cars. We just restarted the race. Everybody is so grouped together to have one driver kind of just stop on track like that, trying to allow another driver to regather it up and make sure he doesn't lose any positions. We just had a complete blockage on the track there.
Yes, we did, and very, very unfortunate. And you've talked about multiple times, Austin, just how hard these cars are to slow down. Big, heavy cars out on dirt where there is so much momentum coming through them. You try to get onto the binders in these cars, and, well, it doesn't exactly work out well.
No, it doesn't, especially when you've got this. I would equate this to maybe, instead of it is like a street circuit, but maybe even closer as well to a Phoenix International Raceway on the NASCAR side of things, where you have a bunch of differing agendas in terms of when drivers want to back out of the throttle and when they want to roll through the middle of the corner, when they want to get back on the throttle to kind of accelerate up off the corner. It really just depends what all these drivers want to do in terms of that situation. So you saw J.R. Shepard lift really early for the corner. Segala figured he could keep his foot in it just a little bit longer to try and take advantage of all that speed to make sure he didn't lose any. And unfortunately, it's written on the back of JR's car. He's been on the receiving end of this more often than not. You see he's very slow entering the corners. JR, one of those guys who likes to enter in slow and then go fast out of the corner. I think Segala just kind of decided to enter fast and go out however he could get the car kind of wrangled up after that.
Yes, indeed, but the lights are out on the iRacing pace truck, and so we are ready to get racing here again on lap 5. Brandon Proudfoot again bringing the field to the green here. Chris Davis to his outside. Davis got a blinding start last time. Let's see what he can do this time. Immediately goes down to cover off that inside from Neville Wolf, and now it looks like Jeffrey Harden's going to try to challenge there around the outside. Still a little bit of argy-bargy. That is Segala getting a little bit sideways as they run, but out and through and clean turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, more contact all the way back through the field. You see Davis trying to challenge here on the inside of Brandon Proudfoot, your leader. We're going to keep the camera on this battle in the middle of the pack. You see Hunter Hill, Jason Menda, looks like Christopher Hill. Then you got Bobby Hayes on the inside in that 13 machine. Oh, Proudfoot up into the slick stuff. He's going to give Chris Davis the lead. Neville off spin sideways. Joe Segala packs him in the back of the car. They're wrecking all over in turns 3 and 4.
Oh my goodness, what just happened? That was a rare error there out of Brandon Proudfoot, misjudging that cushion as we talked about. We watched Neville Ulf. Did he get a little bit of help from Jeffrey Harden? I think he did, and a big ka-thunk there from the 81 of Joe Segala.
Yeah, that was an extremely rare error we saw to Brandon Proudfoot. He just kind of entered the track a little bit too high, got into those marbles where it kind of flattens out. There's no banking up there on that part of the track, so you pretty much lose all the momentum. I think luckily for Brandon Proudfoot, to the absolute dismay and anger of Chris Davis, iRacing is going to give Proudfoot the spot back. And this, of course, this is all down to iRacing timing and scoring, and things even get a little bit messier here with the advent of the caution laps not counting. So it just goes back to the last timing and scoring loop, and according to iRacing, Brandon Proudfoot should be in the lead, I guess.
I guess we're going to have to see, although that may be a little bit of sideways. Is waiting to see here. Proudfoot does pull ahead. Davis looks like he's holding on to that inside line. It may be Davis up into the lead, actually, or else Proudfoot opting to start on the high line. We'll have to figure that out as things run. Working their way around here. The lights on the iRacing pace truck are out, so we will be back to green next time by. Behind them, it is going to be Harden and Northcutt. Northcutt doing a great job to work his way up through the field, slowing down the pack as they come into turn 3 right now. Chris Davis down to the inside. I believe that number 7 will be the one to give the go. Waiting, and there goes the green, and it is a very slow start there from the front row, but that's going to be Chris Davis down to the inside, trying to keep it on. Proudfoot trying to carry momentum up around the high side. Who's it gonna be? And it looks like Billy Northcutt's gonna make this 3 wide.
Yeah, 3 wide. You see Jeffrey Harden all the way down on the inside. I think what it was, DJ, both those drivers kind of elected to let iRacing restart the race, as they were side by side, try to make it dead even as they went down into turns number 1 and 2. That's what it looked like to me anyways. I think both those guys kind of realizing iRacing maybe messed up the timing and scoring in that situation. Huge battle here for P4 in the track. That's Harden on the inside, Hunter Hill, the 12 on the outside. Joe Segala, Jason Menda getting a little bit argy-bargy out of turn number 4.
And we are Noah's Ark by Noah's Ark, and that's Proudfoot. Proudfoot up into the wall again. He is having problems with the cushion. That is going to lose him second place out to Billy Northcutt, and now he is going to be into the clutches of Jeffrey Harden and Hunter Hill as they run. Harden trying to work down to the inside of the former champion.
Yeah, Harden gets loose. That's Hunter Hill around the outside of him, trying the best he can. Hunter Hill into the outside wall. Joe Segala almost follows him up. I'm not sure what Proudfoot's problem is here. Definitely, though, the car not driving to his liking. You see him still using that high line, and he's almost been in the wall more often than not these last couple laps.
He really has, but let's not count out the driver of the 22 here. Remember, one of his strongest suits is his ability to read the track and figure out exactly where that grip is. And so we still have about 30 laps left to go in this race, and there's plenty of time for him to keep that reading going forward. Oh, Segala looking a little bit squirrely there in the back. He's able to gather everything back up under him, it looks like, and we stay green.
Riding along here on the 14 machine of Kenny Kibbe, you're looking out his windshield. This is Jason Menda just ahead of him, so Kenny's trying to do the exact same thing he was able to do twice in that consolation race between the two of them, trying to pass that 45 machine. Jason Menda, one of the harder drivers in this league to pass. I've had the opportunity to race around him many times myself on asphalt and on dirt. Jason does not make it easy. Harder pass than a kidney stone.
I've never heard you use that before, and I'm going to steal that from you, Austin. I love that.
I stole it from Mike Joy, and I know Lil Jewel said it about Donnie Moore a couple times in this league, so feel free to go ahead and take that. Brandon Proudfoot trying to hunt down Billy Northcutt there for the second position. You can tell Proudfoot's trying to get absolutely everything he can out of this car. I think he's kind of self-aware that he made those two large errors, kind of gave away the race lead and then the second position, so he's trying to be a little bit more reserved now. Instead of using the high side, he's pretty much only going on the low side. You see Kenny Kibbe trying to look to the inside here at Jason Menda, trying to make that work. I think the inside line has come back to be stronger than the top side. We'll see if Kenny Kibbe can get it done here. He does get it done. I think Jason Menda, though, made a huge error there coming out of turn number 4. Tries to cross him over. I think Kenny's going to be clear going down into turn number 3.
Yes, he is just able to carry momentum around the outside there of 1 and 2 and move Kenny Kibbe up into P6. He's now going to set his sights ahead of him on Hunter Hill in that 5th place position. Menda still trying to close in a little bit, takes an earlier turn in down into turn 1, but it doesn't look like that's going to help him all that much as they run 17 laps here in the books, about to be 18 at Weedsport Speedway. We continue to work our way around our leader, the number 7, Chris Davis, but he has Billy Northcutt and Brandon Proudfoot hot on his heels.
Yeah, the last couple laps I was watching Brandon Proudfoot. He was gaining on Billy Northcutt using the inside line, and then Billy looked in his mirror, saw where Brandon was running, chose to run on the inside himself. Those two drivers caught up to the back end of Chris Davis, and now Chris Davis is utilizing that ultra bottom line as well. These 3 drivers, nose and tail for the most part, they've really pulled away. They're about 2 seconds or so clear of Jeffrey Harden in 4th place.
Yes, they are, and that battle for the lead getting even spicier as they carry a little bit more speed off of the corner. Kenny Kibbe looking a little bit sideways there in the back, but able to hold it well as Jason Menda looks like he is falling back at the clutches right now of Bobby Hayes as they run 20 laps here in the books. We are halfway, and there goes Proudfoot sending a big old move around the outside, trying to carry momentum, seeing if he can get anything by the 00 of Billy Northcutt.
Yeah, at that point, Brandon, I mean, I'm not sure if he saw there was grip up there. Kind of, you see grip, you think maybe I can get it done, kind of a hypothesis. Then you have an if-then statement. If I go up there, then I will. Whoa, contact! The 2 leaders spin around. Proudfoot goes around the outside.
Oh my goodness gracious, that was a big old send there coming into the corner. It looked like for Billy Northcutt, and I've got to say, it looks like he just timed that out wrong as he got into the side of Chris Davis and spun both of the leaders, as you said. There you can see it just slides up into the slick, and boom, that sends the 7 and the 00 around.
Well, AJ, that was a humdinger. That's quite the kerfluffle, as you would say, DJ, between those first 2 cars. iRacing has yet to give them their spots back. I think because both those drivers spun out, they were the cause of the caution. Then they went down to the inside of the track. I don't think they'll get their positions back, but we'll keep our eyes here on the timing and scoring part on the left-hand side of the screen. But for right now, I think it's going to be Brandon Proudfoot in the lead of this race once again, and I don't know if he was thankful that the top wasn't that fast. Oh, Billy Northcutt manually disconnected from the session, as is Christopher Hill. I'm sure Brandon's got to be thanking his lucky stars. He tried the outside, and both those drivers spun out because I really feel like Brandon would have been the 3rd driver to kind of get spun out like that. Jeffrey Harden would be the new leader.
Yes, indeed, he would. But a big shuffle around here, as you said. The top 5 right now, Proudfoot, Harden, Hill, Kibbe, and Menda after the spin out from Davis. And from Northcutt, a little bit of an uncharacteristic move there from Billy Northcutt. We normally don't see that much aggression there from him in that way. But the field re-racked and ready to go racing here again. We're going to get restarted on lap 22, halfway done here at Weedsport Speedway. The control of the field will be down to the inside lane, and the number 22 of Brandon Proudfoot, Jeffrey Harden, going to be starting to his outside. Watch for Hunter Hill, up 7 positions in that 3rd place. Proudfoot gets on the loud pedal. He clears out nice and easy, and my precautions there look like they're going to nod, as that is going to be Harden able to hold on to that 2nd place position. Here comes Hill with a little bit of a charge, but not going to be able to make it work.
Yeah, Hill's trying to get there. That was a very poor start for Harden there on the high side. That's going to allow Hill to get to his inside. Kenny Kibbe forced to kind of take evasive action there, trying to make sure Harden got an okay start. Then Menda was challenging Kibbe to the inside. Kibbe looks like he's going to clear Menda. That's Hill all over the inside of Jeffrey Harden's car. They're all going to be single file for now. Looking to see the 14 car of Kenny Kibbe try to take over that 3rd position. Menda looking to the inside, forces Kibbe to the high side.
and Kibbe checked himself up there a little bit at the corner, and it looks like he got on the gas a little bit.
Oh, Davis 3 wide.
Woo, doggy, they are getting fun down through there. Chris Davis backs out of it just a little bit to prevent any contact in between Menda and Kenny Kibbe as they run. Now Chris Davis is going to move his car up to the high side, trying to carry a little bit of momentum as they go. This is getting intense here.
Yeah, super intense. You saw a little bit of contact there from the front end of Davis's car to the rear end of Menda. Kenny Kibbe clear once again. He's got to make sure he gets down to the inside here, not to allow Menda to get back to his inside. See if Kenny can't try to take away that third position there from Hunter Hill, then try to track down Jeffrey Harden. To Jeffrey's credit, though, he's been keeping Brandon Proudfoot extremely honest. Brandon trying to use the high side, trying to look for speed all over this track.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. Jeffrey Harden doing a fantastic job. He's got that gap roughly around a half a second, and he's actually going to be up alongside as they come out of the final corner, trying to take that low line away. We keep our eyes focused back on Chris Davis, who now finds himself under attack from the 45 of Jason Menda. J.R. Shepard, who's on a little bit of a recovery drive as well, poking his nose in there to try to see what he can be able to get. That is a little bit of the hornet's nest there as they run in the mid-pack.
Yeah, to be honest, DJ, I'm not quite sure why Brandon Proudfoot continues to use the high side. It seems like that low side is still where you want to be, especially because the run off the corner and through the center is just so much better. You see Jeffrey Harden really rolling that bottom compared to Brandon Proudfoot, doing a great job. I don't know if Proudfoot might have some damage from when he hit the wall, but his car just isn't driving the way I think it should be right now.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. It's a bit of a strange line as Chris Davis has been able to clear Jason Menda now, and he's going to set his sights ahead onto the number 14 of Kenny Kibbe. That's the battle for fourth place right now as they run. Kibbe, though, trying to look here as Harden gets.
Oh, look at Harden.
He had
Harden goes for the lead. They're too wide.
4. Oh, my goodness. We've got a race for the lead. Jeffrey Harden and Brandon Proudfoot.
Yeah, that's Harden in the 36 car on the bottom. Brandon Proudfoot, your perennial champion, almost on the high side. Looks like both these cars a little bit more banged up than their counterparts here. Kenny Kibbe trying to look around to the outside of Hunter Hill. Of course, Hill is just waiting for one of these drivers to make a mistake, and he's going to fill the gap wherever it opens, whenever it does.
In less than 10 laps to go here at Weedsport Speedway. If we get a yellow at this point, that means it's a single file restart, and I know none of the drivers will be wanting to see that. Kibbe sends the car up onto the high side, trying to carry a little bit of momentum. That is Jeffrey Harden continuing to run down low, seeing what he can do. Now Chris Davis getting involved in the action. He's going to force Kenny Kibbe up to the high side as the number 7 tries to push low.
Yeah, the worst part for Kenny Kibbe is he continues to run on the high side in order to try to get around Hunter Hill. Kenny, of course, the driver who, in my opinion, coined and popularized the phrase kind of go where they ain't if you want to pass the cars, especially on dirt ahead of you. And every time he chooses the high side, Hunter Hill chooses the inside. Hunter backs out of the throttle a lot earlier than Kenny does. Kenny's kind of forced to take maybe an in-between line. He can't really carry the speed into the corner he should be to make the high side work, and he's kind of just sitting there in the middle zone, maybe somewhere in between.
Yeah, I think that's about right, just trying to figure out where to go, but he's only got 7 laps left to try to sort this out, and with a lot of pressure coming up from behind from Chris Davis, he doesn't have a whole lot of time to do it here, as the top 5 run very, very close together here, not a lot separating all of them. A little bit of a squirrely exit there off at the corner for Chris Davis. 6 laps to go.
Well, Menda makes contact with the inside wall, goes straight into the outside wall, very reminiscent of what he did in his consolation race.
Yes, indeed, and he is a very lucky boy to be able to keep that car pointed the straight way, trying to carry some momentum around the outside. Here comes Davis on Kenny Kibbe, though. Is he going to be able to make the move work?
Yeah, Kenny, once again, being a lot nicer with the guy on the inside than he might need to be. Chris Davis just kind of shot the car in there, and Kenny gave him the inside line. That's kind of just what you do on dirt racing, but of course, the always aggressive Chris Davis kind of showing why we gave him that nickname, DJ.
He is not afraid to get his elbows out, and 9 times out of 10, it provides us some fantastic racing. I always love watching the number 7 out on track, side by side now for 4th place between him and Kenny Kibbe. They dive down into turn 3 as we get ready to start lap 38. Only 3 to go. A little bit of a wiggle there from Hunter Hill. Is that going to throw him off? Big contact into the outside wall.
Yeah, that was big wiggle there from Jeffrey Harden. Hunter Hill forced to do the exact same thing. That's going to allow us a big kerfluffle. You mentioned 9 times out of 10, it gives us a great thing to see from the booth, and 10 times out of 9, it mostly provides some bent-up sheet metal. Kenny Kibbe goes to the high side, giving J.R. Shepard away for the 5th position. Kenny Kibbe just bleeding spots there on the high side.
Yeah, it looks like he made contact there with the wall coming onto the main straightaway, so that's not going to work out well for him. Meanwhile, up front, Brandon Proudfoot has stretched out a gap of about 1.2 seconds. Harden still trying to hold on for second place here from Hunter Hill and Chris Davis. White flag in the air at Weedsport. We've only got one more time around this 3/8 of a mile circuit. Is anybody going to be able to send a haymaker down on the last lap? They run 1, 2, 3, 4 as they go. J.R. Shepard looks to the high side. Here comes Chris Davis trying to look at a little bit of a move to steal a podium away from Hill. It is going to be Brandon Proudfoot up front. Then it's going to be Harden. Then Hill. Then Davis. Then Kibbe.
Yeah, Kibbe barely pipping J.R. Shepard there by about 6/100ths, excuse me, of a second. What a race there. We saw Brandon Proudfoot. I've never seen a race finish so crazy in my life, these dirt street stocks, DJ.
Nor have I, and I gotta be honest with you, I kind of expected Brandon Proudfoot to absolutely run away with that race once his two major competitors there in the form of Davis and Northcutt got taken out. But massive credit here to Jeffrey Harden and Hunter Hill for keeping that gap super close and keeping pressure on the former champion.
Yeah, that was quite the drive out of those two guys. And even then, everyone all throughout the field really kept it extremely close to Proudfoot. You see the rest of the gap down to the field. Most of these guys finishing within a half a second from one driver to the next. Of course, Jeffrey Hart getting extremely loose there, and the white flag lap allowing Brandon Proudfoot to kind of pull away. But Proudfoot, the big winner here once again.
Yeah, and that's going to put him ahead in the championship running as they go, but only 2 races down, so plenty of time to still come along here as they run. Waiting for some drivers to populate in here into the interview booth as they go. But Austin, I got to tell you something. Weedsport is always one of those tracks that can be a little bit iffy. Sometimes it can be a little bit follow the leader. The drivers here in the BRL Dirt Street Stock Series proving it was anything but here today.
Yeah, there was a lot more passing going out on the track than I anticipated, and we kind of talked about it earlier, DJ. It's not like a Monaco; it's more directly related to a street course. And you got some Phoenix International Raceway kind of looped in there as well.
Indeed you do, but it is time for our interviews, and we are happy to be joined in the booth by the driver of the number 22, Brandon Proudfoot. Brandon, a victory here today, but that looked like you had to fight for it out there.
Yeah, by no means was I comfortable at all. Here the past about week or so, week and a half, I've been really driving the Pro 4 trucks here on iRacing. I was fortunate enough, as well as with 7 of my other teammates at Jim Beaver Esports, to qualify for the Pro Series for those things, and they drive completely different, and I had to make steering wheel adjustments to accommodate to my driving style, and I did not change my settings back over before I decided to race tonight.
Oh dear, that must have made for a very, very interesting race out there for you. But, it looks like you managed it pretty well. How was the track even with all of that? You still drove a good race.
Early on, there was relatively no difference. The Pro 4s, they tend to four-wheel slide quite a bit, which is what majority of the cars here in the dirt, what we normally do. But as the track slickened off and rear grip started becoming a problem, the front grip, I completely lost the feeling of my front. So there was a few corners there, which I know Billy and Chris got by me, to where I went to turn into the corner, and I turned too far, and effectively I just started power sliding going into the corner, and it got to the point to where I just had to start running the top because I wasn't sure if I was going to hit the wall or not, because I couldn't feel a thing.
Well, that actually answers my question. We saw you make those runs up to the high side a couple of times, but first off, I should say congratulations on qualifying for the pro event for the Pro Trucks. That's pretty fantastic. I'll have to make sure to tune in, but we look ahead next week on the schedule, going to Volusia, pretty fast track, especially as compared to Weedsport. How do you like your chances?
Weedsport. Volusia is a bit of a tricky track for me. There's times to where I can do relatively good there, and then there's other times to where I'm in the mid pack. It all depends on how the track breaks down. There's a few guys here, Bootleg, that are relatively fast there, especially the Pandas. So it's going to be a slugfest next week for sure. I'm hoping it'll go to the top, and we've got some sliders, but if it's down on the bottom, look for those pandas to start grabbing some bamboo and whack me back to 5th.
I was trying to figure out how to make it a metaphor there, and you did it for me, so thank you, Branson. But anybody you would like to thank for yet another victory here tonight?
Festival Bourbon, Winners Get Wispy, baby. General Tire, Vision Wheel, Next Level Racing, Rigid, Low and all the guys that do stuff in the background. You guys here at Virtual Grip Network for doing the broadcast. Family, fiance, and friends that root me on. And yeah, on to Evolution next week. And yeah, we'll see y'all then.
We will see you there indeed, Brandon. Thank you so much. That was Brandon Proudfoot, your victor here today. And now, Austin, I believe you have caught up with our second place finisher, Jeffrey Harden.
Certainly have. Jeffrey, Austin up in the booth, buddy. You got a copy?
Hey, Austin, what's going on, man?
Not much, buddy. That was a fantastic run, man. You were there able to take advantage as soon as those first two drivers spun out there right behind Proudfoot, and I kind of made mention of it during the broadcast. If Proudfoot was there on the bottom and those two spun out, I think it would have been a threefer, and I'm pretty sure you would have come away with the lead on that one. You did a fantastic job trying to follow Brandon Proudfoot, but did you have anything for him? You were faster than him a couple times there.
I mean, there was times I'd have runs, but I mean, Brandon's the champ. Eventually his talent is going to overtake. I was just happy to be up there, trying not to make a mistake, which I think I almost did, like lap 37, 38. But I'm happy with second.
Yeah, there were a couple times definitely going through turns 3 and 4. I saw you kind of whip that car around. Thankfully for you, though, the guy behind you, the person DJ's going to catch up with next, Hunter Hill, he got loose right there with you. So you guys were kind of trading blows there. It was a single mistake all the way down through the field. You kind of would have just lost a bunch of positions. Was this probably the most white-knuckle driving you've had out on dirt in a while?
Oh, yeah. My hands are still tense. I don't think I took a breath for like the last 15 laps or so. I'm exhausted.
For sure. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go here, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I always want to thank the league, BRL, everybody races in it, my teammates Joe and Ryan, my wife, family, everybody for watching me. You guys for broadcasting.
Well, thank you for taking the time to talk to us, Jeffrey. Once again, congratulations on the run, buddy. It was awesome getting the chance to talk to you.
Thank you. Have a good night, Austin.
Thank you, buddy. You too. That was Jeffrey Harden, finished in second position. DJ, I think you've caught up with Hunter Hill, the man who rounded out the podium.
I have indeed. Hunter Hill up 7 positions on the day. You were flying through that field like a rocket, my friend.
Yeah, I was.
Well, talk me through the race there a little bit. I mean, were you kind of in a full attack mode from the beginning, or were you just kind of letting everything come to you?
I was just staying back where I was and not really trying to push as hard as probably some other people, but yeah.
Well, it sounds like that sounded like a pretty deep breath. I'm assuming that one took it out of you a little bit.
Yeah, I really wouldn't have thought I got a podium here at this track. Normally I'm best at like the high bank tracks.
Well, looking ahead real quick to Volusia. Not exactly the highest of bankings, but pretty quick as they run. Can we see a repeat of a podium there?
I mean, I'll try to, but man, it's never guaranteed, especially one of these fast guys.
Indeed. Well, we wish you a massive congratulations on the day. And Hunter, anybody you would like to give a big thank you to?
I would like to give a big thank you to Dean's Tires, Lucido's Racing Engines, Mike's Flagpoles, Hacker Building, and whoever else I missed, and y'all guys at the Virtual Grip Network and Low, and yeah, thank y'all all.
Well, thank you, Hunter Hill. That was Hunter, your third place finisher here today, and a well-deserved third place for him, up 7 spots on the day. Well, Austin, that's about going to wrap things up for us here on the Virtual Grip Network. We want to give a huge thank you to everybody who has made this broadcast possible, both behind the scenes at VGN, as well as Austin Belke here in the booth, and our director and producer behind the scenes, Mike Yao. We will be back for the next race for the BRL Dirt Street Stock Series Friday, July 8th at Volusia Speedway. That'll be at 7:10 p.m. Eastern Time. The next race on the channel is going to be tomorrow, June 25th, as the BRL Super Late Model Series heads to Hickory Motor Speedway. That will be live at 9 p.m. Eastern. This has been a production of Virtual Grip Network, and we thank you for joining us here today. And until we see you out on the track, thanks for watching.